Hi, Aline. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting these essays for you today. Great to see that you have begun preparing your essays as part of the course. Let's take a look at what you have written here. Nowadays, the educational system is put in discuss whether it works effectively as the same way as before. I mean, is it sufficient just to bring a curriculum, or the present days demand a more fun way of learning? I particularly go with the idea that the world is changing and the teaching institutions should lead those changings as they form the future personalities of success in all areas. Okay, so there are some things I liked about this introduction. First of all, it's concise, it's to the point. You didn't spend too much time writing unnecessary words and sentences. I also liked that you presented your position. That's also very important. So now let's talk about the things that needed a little work. The things that needed work for me are, well, I guess it's primarily grammar, because this was 3 sentences long, and each sentence had some grammatical errors, more than one for sure. So let's look at it again. So nowadays, the educational system, we don't say is put in discuss. You could say nowadays the educational system is being discussed. And then here, not whether it works. You know what? Let's change it even a little more. Nowadays, it is being discussed whether the educational system works effectively, not the same way as before, but nowadays it is being discussed whether the educational system works effectively in our modern times. You could have said something like that. Or it is being discussed whether the educational system is meets today's demands. Okay, you could say something like that in this paragraph. Okay, and then I didn't like the next sentence starting with "I mean," because it just feels very conversational. It's not really appropriate in this style. So let's get rid of that. You could have said "in other words," or you could have said "that is." Okay, when you put "that is" and then comma after that, it's a way of going a little further into detail about what you're talking about. So you could have done that. So that is it sufficient just to, let's see, teach a curriculum, or do the present days demand a more fun way of learning? So you can see I had to change a few things here. And then this too, I go with the idea, feels also very informal. So I particularly, um, let's see, instead of go with the idea, what could you have said? You could have said maybe, I particularly support the idea that the world is changing, and the teaching institutions should lead those changes as they form the future personalities. Full stop. This doesn't make sense. Now, there's one problem with this thesis. Now, I said to you I was happy that you presented a position, but this particular position is not really clear. You're saying that the world is changing, so teaching institutions should lead those changes. It's not clear in the world of IELTS, okay? Because in the world of IELTS, you have to really specifically answer this question. Do they have to be more entertaining, or should they just worry about education? Okay, this does not really answer that. You just said that they should lead the change. And so as an examiner, this brings me to a couple of issues. I'm thinking to myself, number one, I don't know your position, not really clearly at least. And then the second problem is I'm concerned. This is kind of a red flag, if you will, because I don't know if you're actually going to be on topic or not. Because if you're talking about the need for educations to lead change, then that's not what that's not what this essay is about. So it's a little problematic, okay? But let's see how you actually developed your body paragraphs and take it from there. In a world full of technology, where even more in early ages, we see children absorbed in the phones or TV's screens, it is fundamental to take into here account why that is so. All right, this is a sentence, it's not a question, so you don't need to use question form here. Okay, let's clean up the grammar. In a world full of technology where more and more, even from early ages, we see children absorbed, etc., etc. And then we don't usually use possessives here, so you could say in the phone or TV screen. So just use the word phone and TV as adjectives and don't put any punctuation, don't put any S. Let's continue. The answer is because it is entertaining. Bringing fun inside the classroom, note 2, is the most intelligent way to teach. Okay. When you transform a subjective subject into a practical and ludic matter, the toddlers retain the information for good. For example, a person is more likely to remember the concept of mathematics equations like sums, multiplications, etc. if after the explanation they are asked to stand up and represent what they have just learned, or when someone learns about the solar system from inside an observation station facility. All right, so the grammar here was a little better, but there are still some things that we need to talk about. And what I want to talk about here is related to task achievement and coherence and cohesion. So when we're talking about coherence and cohesion, we're talking about how well linked the ideas are. Is there a clear flow? Do we understand the way you have put these sentences together? And here I had a little problem, okay? But then also in terms of task achievement, I feel like something's missing. So let's talk about this so I can explain to you a little better what I mean. So you had the sentence here about technology, and then you said it's entertaining. And then I like this, bringing fun inside the classrooms is the most intelligent way to teach. Okay. And then you explained to me why. But then here, this isn't about entertainment. This is just about like a kid learning about math, and then the teacher saying, "All right, Johnny, now go up to the board and show us what you learned." So that's not entertaining. So although these two sentences worked, here it didn't, because you were almost proving the opposite of what you were saying. Okay. And then here I didn't understand this. Again, this isn't entertainment. All right. So going to an observation station is not entertainment. It's considered experiential, but it's not entertaining. And so it's really interesting because this is one of the ways that IELTS kind of tests your vocabulary to make sure you understand what entertaining means. So what does entertaining mean? Well, it means fun. It means enjoyable. It means amusing. It means lighthearted, joyful. Okay, all of these things. Think about an entertaining television show where it kind of takes you away with its lightheartedness. It's not overly serious. So it's something that makes you laugh. These are things that are entertaining. Okay, so that's what you're talking about here. All right. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so for me, there was a little problem with the way some of these kind of flowed together. Let's look at it again. So we have this idea about technology. We're saying in a world full of technology, we have to think about, why kids are so enraptured. And it's because it's entertaining. So here, maybe you could have had a hence bringing fun into the classroom is education is a good idea. So up to here, you're good. And then here, all of this kind of got lost. So midway, you had a problem with the linkage. All right, let's continue with the next paragraph. The outcomes of the classical school system where you have a teacher in front of the class pouring information have been proven ineffective and inefficient. Different studies have shown that students forgot 80% of the content they have studied 3 days after the test. 70% of the students do not enjoy going to school because of the teaching methods, and more than 50% of the high schoolers do not think of furthering their studies to college or university. Those are consequences of the just to educate policy. Okay, well, the grammar here is very good. There was nothing wrong, and so that's nice. Um, it did feel maybe a little underdeveloped. Like, let me show you what I mean. So you told me inefficient and ineffective. Great. And then the rest of the paragraph is really just this one sentence. Yeah, it's like a 3-sentence paragraph. I guess it's okay, but I do wish it were just a little more fully developed. I mean, this one here, while it had some problems, it did feel like a fuller paragraph. Maybe you could have just said one extra piece of information. I don't know. It just felt a little brief to me. Okay. A little underdeveloped is what I'm saying. All right. So, carrying such mission that is to bring knowledge to so many different lives come with great challenge. That sentence, I'm afraid, Aline, is just, it's got a lot of mistakes. And so I don't understand it. In order to successfully achieve the goal, the present society should support and encourage schools without the that are creative and implement entertainment in the schedule. For education is about learning and being able to contribute to a better good with that awareness, not just to get graded. Okay, fine. So as you can see, there was a lot to talk about this essay. We spent quite a bit of time on it. There are some issues that I want you to work on here, primarily grammar, and then some of these other issues with task achievement and with coherence and cohesion. Let's take a look about the essay. Let's take a look at the essay about developing skills with a child. The development of abilities and creativity are related to the process of learning. It can be stimulated in different forms. Activity and reading are just a couple of examples. And I do not think one rules over the other, as people have different personalities and respond differently. Okay, so grammar is fine here. But what you have not really done is you haven't rephrased the topic. So, in other words, if I didn't have this in front of me, I wouldn't know what this essay was about. Okay? And you don't want that to happen. You want the essay topic to be clear. So the examiner should be able to guess what the topic is based on what you write in your introduction. Okay, so there was nothing mentioned about children. There was nothing mentioned about doing fun activities. Okay, enjoyable activities, nothing. You said activity, which could be anything. Okay, it could be washing dishes. It could be, driving a car. So there's really no way to know what you're talking about here. Okay. And there's also nothing about skills. So the essay, the task essentially tells you there's certain key words here, okay? Enjoyable activity, child, skills, creativity, reading. Those are the key words. And so you need to somehow address this, rephrase it to some extent, and answer the question, okay? So it could have been a lot of things. It could have been, the things that you could have written are infinite. So I'm not going to try to rewrite this for you, but I want you to keep all of this in mind, okay, for your next set. All right, toddlers who have fun playing and spend time in recreation are more likely to create long-term memories when learning something because they are using all 5 senses. Also, science has proven that neuroplasticity in the brain of children who have gone through head injury is higher when compared to adults, and this is due to their increased capacity of learning when they get interested. Therefore, doing pleasurable things contributes to the formation of a healthy being. Okay. All right, so basically, I like this sentence, okay? I can't really say that this felt entirely relevant to me, but again, it feels like a very short little paragraph. Like, it's just kind of underdeveloped. Like, there's a lot more to say. All right. So, what are you essentially telling me? You're telling me that they can create memories. Great, because they're using all 5 senses, and that's fine. But is this a skill? You're supposed to be talking about skills development, okay, and creativity. So I really felt like this paragraph missed an opportunity to cover skills and creativity, okay? Let's continue. Another way to influence that process is by reading. When someone reads, it improves vocabulary, hence you get better in communication. And those are key components of learning. This is not a full sentence, careful. Combining them would be better. All right, what did you say here? You said vocabulary gets better, therefore communication gets better. Those are key components of learning. Therefore, furthermore, reading expands, not expends, that's the wrong word here. Expands the imagination, taking the mind to wonder and dream. These, for example, allow skills and creativity to flourish. Okay, again, really underdeveloped here, Aline. I want a little more language, maybe some more examples, maybe something a little more tangible, not so abstract. Okay. I want you to follow the template a little more. I'd like to see clear topic sentences, clear conclusion sentences, and then, main idea and support for your idea. Okay, so really following the template a little more closely would probably help here, all right? Okay, so to summarize, enjoyable activities and reading work together in creating skills and being more creative. Fine. They are more important. No, I'm sorry. They are important when it comes to learning as they act in different areas of the brain and different persons. Thus, both strategies should be used in the development of the topic. Fine. Yeah, like here again, this is another thing. You really didn't mention creativity. Just throwing the word in there doesn't mean that you developed it. Okay. And so this is something I want you to work on a little bit. All right. Follow the template a little more closely. Make sure that you develop. You don't just introduce, you don't just state, but you actually think about your sentences and your ideas like links in a chain. Okay. So there really needs, the ideas need to fit together like a chain, okay, like links in a chain. And then, there can't be any holes in that chain. So we need to make sure that your ideas all follow in a logical way, okay, like the links in a chain. Okay, so go ahead, correct these, send them back to us corrected. Get started on your next set, and I'll be waiting for it, all right? So good luck to you.